Hello and welcome to episode 45 of building a 2D multiplayer game in Flutter. In the last episode, we got to the point where the server is controlling the bullets and updates the client about the bullets, while the client at the same time is basically predicting the bullets, and that works really well because the bullets don't ever change direction or speed or anything like that. So the prediction is always pretty much in sync with what the server dictates. So we were able to see the other players' bullets, and if you kind of missed that episode, go have a look to understand where we are now. In this episode, what I want to do is I want to basically collide bullets with players. So basically at this point when we are shooting a bullet, it is not yet colliding, right? So it only collides with walls. And the changes that we have to make are in a few places, and one would be the bullets controller. So we have a collider add method here. And that basically gets passed to us from the game controller here, from the colliders. Now the colliders is a class that we create outside, I think, of this. Let me see. So the colliders, where are they? Oh, we create them actually right here, and we basically create them for the walls only at this point, right? So they only have walls. Now, when we ask collider add, right, it basically just gives us a boolean if there was a collider. Now, however, that's not going to be enough because we basically need to pay out damage to other players even, right? And for now, we basically only do that on the server. We won't even do this on the client yet. We might want to render a kind of like an explosion kind of thing on the client side, but to basically subtract from the player's health, that will be done entirely on the server, right? So collider add is actually not like enough. And so let's open this actually in a split view to see. So I want to kind of have that bullets controller over here. So move that over here. Doesn't want to go. Sometimes IntelliJ forgets my shortcuts. So basically, we are saying here, we're basically saying that collider, right, this one, we're basically just calling that. And then we handle the collision here, meaning we were doing the explosion, right? However, the collider now has no clue of what happened, right? It doesn't know that it was a bullet. Like, I mean, the collider add might be used by other things, like for instance the player, right? If two players collide, something else needs to happen. Then if the if a bullet hits a player, right? The boolean still works. And that's just basically to give feedback to whoever is calling this. But we need to be a little more specific. You can see that we're actually using this in two places, right? So we are actually so we're sending this to the player controller and we're sending this to the bullets controller. So what we actually would like to do is something like that. Might want to have something like this. And for now, we can just say return collider add, right? And it's the same thing, but we might do something else here, right? And then we can also have the same method and say player add, right? And then now we can actually rename this, and that we will be forced to update our code. All right. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, I would like to refactor this. Oh, okay. Whatever. It doesn't allow me for some reason. Yeah, I don't care where it was. I just want to go away. All right. So this one will be private now, and obviously we're going to have a few places where we're going to have to fix things. So so this one now will be player at, right? So basically, I'm just rename this one. Oh, would you just let me do my things, please? It's getting a little bit in the way. So we have this, we named this now player at. So basically the player is, but that's now very confusing. That sounds like, is there another player here? So let's just think like how would we call this here, right? So basically saying player colliding at, right? So now we're going to also name this player colliding at. So right, and so basically it says, well, if a player is colliding, return true, otherwise not. And so we're going to do the same thing for the bullets controller. So here we're going to name it bullet colliding at. And so in a way, this is kind of weird with this boolean returning. But this is the only way to basically have the outside world tell us what is colliding, and the inside world, and this one is the inside, basically telling us, yes, you did collide. And now if we did collide, here basically we're looking at collider, right? And so we're saying wall at, right? So we can say wall at, right? So we have a wall, and now we can also have a list. So we call those colliders for some reason, and probably we don't want to do that. Just want to call them walls. And then obviously if we shoot ourselves, which is impossible to happen, we should also be punished, but that could only happen if a bullet would reflect off a wall, which doesn't happen. But for now we can say player model players, and the reason why I have the entire model here is because I'm actually going to update the player model from inside here. It's a little dirty, but it's probably the easiest we can do for now. Let me see, why did we... Yeah, let's just... Oh, okay, so we filled the walls here. That list needs to be different. So it's still fine that we're passing them like this. What we want to do though is we want to have more. So this is a list of bool. This will be a list of players, but the list will be basically by tile position, right? So what we want to do, we want to do something similar, right? So basically what we're doing here, right? We are, instead of having to look at each wall, what's the tile position is, we already kind of create a list by tile. So we can just say, you know, if you give it the position, we can just calculate the index into our array, and then we can just look if in that array we have, in this case, a wall or whichever. So what we're going to do here for final player in players, we're going to do the same thing. Well, there's a problem that, right? No, actually we can't do that here, right? So because the players will change positions, so this will not work. So we actually need to, yeah. So Let's think about this a little bit. Because we might have to give I mean, we know that this list, yeah, I don't like this too much. I want this to be more explicit. I want this to be like this. Right? Even though we could argue, okay, well, once you create the game model and you have that list of players, they will never ever change, so you're fine. But actually, we don't need it for the player. We need more here. I would like to be more specific here. So we'll do it like that. Okay, so we moved the Golovko around and basically arrived at not much, but we kind of helped us to think about things. So if there's a wall, right? If there's a wall at this, return true, right? So that's the early out. So we hit a wall. Okay, fine. Now, if there's a player, right, we basically need to iterate through the players as they currently are. And then we basically need to determine if we hit one. So what we can do is we can go to all the players. All right, so and then we can determine when is a player hit by a bullet. I mean, let's think about this a little bit. And I'm gonna need to find the right window here. So let's think about this a little bit. If we have, for instance, the player, I was going to do freehand. If we have the player here, right? And then we have a bullet here. Doesn't allow me to do that. I just want to. Okay, so we have a bullet here flying, right? Now, if it hits the player like this, if they are in the same, if they're on the same tile, you don't want it to say already it hit it here, right? It's a little different than with the wall. So if the well, let's just start over here again. So if the player is this, right? So like his center will be here. Now, so then obviously if the bullet is in the same tile, we could say that it hits the player. Simplify it, right? However, if the player is just about here, right, and it's still in that tile, and now the player is kind of like this, right? Now it would be kind of weird when the bullet enters here that it hits the player, right? It's almost like we want to be a little more exact about hitting the player. We don't just want to go by tile. With the walls, it's different, right? Because a wall always fills an entire tile, right? Like this. So once we reach the same tile, we can say we hit the wall. But here, we actually have to be a little more specific. So this is going to be interesting. I'm going to do some hit detection. So basically what we need to do is, first of all, if the player dot, so we can actually say tile position is same tile as TP. And we're going to do the opposite. If it's not even the same tile, then continue, right? So obviously we didn't hit that player. Now if it is, now we have to look if the, so now we can look at the TP dot. So we have the rel X and rel Y from the center of the tile, right? However, the player has a radius, right? So we actually would need to define a, most likely we'll define a hitbox around the player. So what we could actually find this on the tile position. If we give it a width and a height, right? We should be able to say, is this other tile position in this, right? So right now we have this method is same tile as. which is very useful. And now we're going to have bool contains, basically contains point, right? And so I mean, we might also just put this on the world position. So the world position, we get the offset here. Let's see if the offset maybe has something like this already. So the offset has scale. Let's actually look at what methods the offset has. Distance. Let's see. We can look at, we have the center, or contains. So contains another offset. So what it does here is it says, yeah, I actually don't like. I wanna actually do our own thing. And so what we can do is we make it simple, right? So basically we say contains, and we give it another tab position. Or is contained. Yes, is inside. There you go. Is inside, right? And yes, so this will work. Is inside, and then we'll basically give it. So we give it another tab position, right? Other, and then we give it the width. So this will be the center of the other, right? No, this is confusing. So we're mixing. Actually, you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to just write this over here. I'm going to write a method that's checking exactly what we want to check. And then we're going to see if we can actually generalize it or not. So we want to say, did bullet hit player? That's actually what we want. Sometimes it's easier to actually write it out ungeneralized. So let's see. We got the bullet. So we have the top position of the bullet. Let's see if the player actually has, if you go to player model, it actually has a size on it. This angle, no, it doesn't. Because those are like constants, so we don't want to add them to the model. Okay. So, but what we'll have is, did the bullet hit the player? We have the top position of the player, and we have the top position of the bullet, and then we have the player radius, we can call it, right? Player radius, and we call it radius because we know the player is round, and we also know that its width and height is the same, but we will simplify it. We will think of it as a box. So first of all, we can say now if not is same tile. If basically the player not is the same tile as a bullet, well, obviously then return false, right? Now we know it's in the same, so they're in the same tile, right? Now we can say that the distance of the bullet to the center of the player, that's what we're gonna calculate. So basically the distance on the x-axis is basically the player dot val x minus the bullet dot val x, right? And that's we take the math dot abs from that of that. Okay, or maybe it was on the number itself. base. Okay. So now we got the distance x, and we're going to do the same for y. Well, actually, we don't have to, right? Because we can check for that first. So we can say if basically the distance x is greater than the player radius, then we know we didn't hit the player, right? And then we do the same, return false, right? And we do the same thing for y. So basically, if that is bigger, then we return false as well. But then we can simplify this and we just say is return, right? This is smaller equals player radius. Okay, so now we have a really simple method, and I almost think I don't want to simplify this. This is a very specific thing, and it's not really easy to do. We can say if did bullet hit player. We have the top position of the bullet. Once the player dot top position, then we take the bullet top position, and then we need to have the player size, and that will be passed into us here. We're going to call it player radius. Let's put it here. And here we think of it as player radius. I know we call it different things somewhere else. So if we did hit it, then return true. But we need to do a little more things here, right? Obviously, we need to handle the collision. For now, make this guy go away. We need to still do something here, but for now this is fine. And if we don't find anything, then it didn't hit anything, right? Okay. Now, obviously, if a player is exactly where the wall is, which never will be the case, then we'd not detect that we're hitting the player, but this is fine. This is actually like that. Okay. So now basically what we want to do is we want to then player dot we need to remove the health, right? So final double health. It's called health toll on bullet hit. Let's like be very specific with that. We're going to get that here, health toll bullet hit. So basically what we need to do is we need to subtract from the player's health. So bullet player dot health. We don't have that yet. Okay. So let's go to the player model, and we'll just for now add this this here. And what we'll do is also when the player gets created, we want to go to game props. Player total health is this. So we want to basically say we want to set this basically to the maximum. But actually, you know what? I'm going to make this required, and we're not going to allow this to not be there. Health. Let's put it here, actually. Okay. So I have the player health, and now obviously there are some things we need to do. So we need to basically get health here. So health will be a double, so we want to unpack, and will maximum be 100, but we only need 2 decimals. And I'm already putting all this here because it will have to be there. And you can tell that we will take a while to get back to compiling. But sometimes it's kind of nice to drive it like this. We just put everything that we would want it to be there, and then we'll just fix it later. All right, because we need to send this. So, okay, so we got this. Obviously, Pack Player Model doesn't have this yet. I'm going to fix it in a second. So we at least updated this. So now we can actually go back to our collider. And now actually this code is fine. So let's see what other things. So we have... okay, so yes, we need to... yeah, so basically the bullets controller will need to call this method. So now we change this, right, to take this kind of thing. So here we need to change that. We have a type position predicate. And that's fine. But it cannot be like that. We actually need we can probably just not even name it. We just put it right here. And it takes a list of player models. And in a way, I want to make this actually an iterable, no, what would they call it in Dart? Iterable, yeah. Of a player model and a tile position. All right. Let's get this guy in. So now this should be happier. Still not happy. Oh, because now this one is not iterable. All right, so now it should be happy. Okay, so that part's happy. Now here, we need to basically, so this shows us that we'll need to have the iterable player model as well, right? Which is weird. The bullets control needs to know what players, but it's not that weird, right? It controls bullets which hit players. So now this is happy. And now the bullet controller basically gets the game state players. And let me see if I... oh, okay, so we need actually the entries. Is it not happy? Not happy? Oh, we want the values actually. Okay, now that is happy. And now obviously here, what is this thing? So we get this weird thing again, copy with. Yeah, I don't know what this is. This is generated, right? So I'm not sure where we're getting these errors, but let's see. Let's jump actually to our game. And what I'll do is I'll rerun the script. So you can see I was trying to get Emacs to go before this. Okay. And that has, by the way, nothing to do with the game. Okay, so now we regenerated this. And what I actually want to do is, I had this numerous times where IntelliJ just wouldn't update correctly. So we'll just restart IntelliJ and we'll hope for the best. So now, when we look at the player model, we should actually have no more errors in here, because now it should know that health oh, well, obviously I have to change the proto first, so we're probably going to have to repeat this restart. So here, the player model, this one here, is going to need double with 2 decimals, and that's going to be the player health. Make that 5. Okay, so now I'm actually going to purposely just already close this and quit IntelliJ, and then rerun the script. All right, now let's relaunch it again. Yes, please. All right, so now we shouldn't at least have any errors in the code anymore, and I hope this weird warnings will go away. The whole analysis of Dart is a little icky with generated code for some reason. So let's go here and let's go to our player model. And now it should actually not give us any errors anymore, right? And you can kind of see like the proto is kind of really quickly, can we just add new properties? It's actually not much overhead. What we need to do though when we clone it, we need to include the health as well. And then when we print it, we probably also want to print the health. Okay, so now we added this property successfully. I think anywhere where we're creating this now, though, we need to make sure we pass it. So for instance here, right? So when we start the player out, we need to give it full health. So the health of the player will be game props dot total it doesn't know what game props are. Okay, interesting. Okay, I guess we hadn't had that yet. So here we have total player total health. All right, so okay, let's see what else is invoked. And this is because we could just use our we could actually enable the requireds by changing a little bit of code, but this will also work. So we got the health here. Okay, good, that works. So 58 health. Yes, we're giving health. Okay, cool. So in every place we are doing that. And what I was talking about is basically the Dart types, right? Types, come on. Dart types. Right here, basically, we had to disable these requires because they're part of Flutter and they don't work on the server. So now when we run this, and I have no idea what in the world this is, and it actually lists on as an error. I don't even know where this comes from. Why it has a copy within it? I have no idea. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to, okay, so we see like we don't get any other errors at this point, right? I'm just going to rerun this. I'm going to see if I get other errors. I'm going to close this guy. We don't get any. Okay, so except for this stupid thing. What I'm actually going to do is I'm going to remove the generated code. And I'm going to run the script again. And then I'm just going to hope for the best. So I mean, if it just gives us stupid warnings, that's one thing, but if it prevents us from starting, that's another thing. So maybe we need to rewrite our script to actually do that by itself. Right, so actually we're going to check that in as Oh, this is called shore. Something like that. Okay, now you can see we already have a bunch of changes, and at this point, even with this turned on, we have no. Oh, see, oh, we do have one. See, that's what. Oh, no, that's not. See, we get some warnings here, so that's why we sometimes it's nice to be able to turn this on. So here we need the radius, the player radius. Okay, so how do we know the player radius? That's the player size. So we can just pass it in here. Game props player size. All right, and then here we have another one. Health. Oh yeah. So health on bullet hit, right? So let's see if we already have something like that. Health. Player hits wall health factor. Bullet hits player. So what do you actually call it here? Health tool. Oh, it's not a factor. Health tool. And so it should be something like. So we have the player tool health. Actually, what I'm going to do, we're going to divide this in any case where we want to maybe increase that. We can just say every time a bullet hits you, how many bullets should be able to hit you, right? Maybe 5. So we just divide by 5 and then you're dead, right? And then, so actually let's go here and let's rename this. Bullet hits player health tool. All right. So now we can just pass it in from the game props. Okay, cool. So now we are without any problems, and now we can actually undo this again, and now we can actually run the server because now we're no longer referencing Flutter. Unfortunately, this is how we have to do it, but it's better than nothing. So we got all this now. So we have something here. She didn't save. Okay, so now we get the player health gets deducted. And we don't show the player health yet. But what I actually want to see is if we hit a player, well, obviously the player health is deducted here on the client, but that doesn't do anything, right? Unless it's our own player, and maybe that's a good thing, right? We already, and then basically when we're syncing, we're going to sync to what the server tells us anyways. So let's find that sync method and see if we need to do something there. And I can never remember what it is. I think it's on the game model, right? So basically here we got the player and we just reassign the player. We can actually remove this now because we don't need this anymore. So you got the player here and we're resetting the player. So that means that if the player got hit by a bullet, the health would be updated from the server as well. Okay. And then obviously bullets should explode. Okay, so that's a lot of changes. And before we actually try this, I want to check this current state in and look at what we did. So let's look through this code. We added 2 kind of colliders, right? We changed it. We basically said, okay, there are 2 ways that a bullet, for instance, can now collide. A bullet can collide with a wall or with a player, and a player can actually only collide with a wall. However, we can also put this, right? We can say if the player collide with another player, maybe something should happen as well. I'm not sure. It doesn't have to be like that. Then here, we change this, right? We say players colliding it, and here we say bullet colliding it. Game model added, I didn't do much here, but just removed that log message, not a big deal. And then we added this extra stuff here. Obviously, we regenerate all our things because we added this extra health thing. And then obviously here we renamed this to player colliding it, right? And The player model, yes, we did some changes just to communicate the health. And yep, that's pretty much all related to that. And so here we remove the player. We're actually going to roll that back because we will need, oh, no, actually that's correct. We need that. We need 2 players. And so now we're going to commit that. That's not the right way to spell this. Okay. So that should work. Let me see. Do we have everything? Yes. Yes, 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 yes. Okay. Contains problems. Yeah, we don't really care about that too much. That's just warnings, probably about the logs. Okay, now actually we should be able to try this out. And why I wanted to check this in first is because if we run into problems, obviously we're gonna write a bunch of extra code to fix this. And I just wanted to have something checked in before we go crazy. So now we're going to start 1 player. And then we're going to see if the players can if the bullets will collide with the other players. So let's look at the game loop while this is loading up. So when we had the game loop and it's ticking, we updating the controller, right? And that's basically what is going to determine all these things. And then we send the game state, right? So I'm just basically trying to see if we would already send things correctly. And now we need to launch another one. All right. So basically, when we update the game controller, it will actually go through this bullet controller, right? In here, it will update this, and the bullet controller will update, and it will detect if a bullet hits something. So that should actually work already. The server should then know that the player was hit. It should then basically what happens, right, when we have a bullet colliding, the server should actually remove it. It removes the bullet, right? There you go. Okay, cool. So let's see. We got this player here, and obviously there's another game over here. Where is this? There you go. Okay, they're on top of each other. Okay, fine. All right, cool. Let's move this guy over here then. All right, and I think it's this is actually OBS that's taking a bunch of my CPU away. Last time I saw this kernel process, and it actually was caused by OBS. So if things are a little slower, that's all OBS was. So we can see here, I'm moving this, we can see it moving on the other end. So now I'm going to shoot and just hit the player. See that? But the thing is, it hits it a little early, right? And so if we actually go ahead into the game props, and we can render the hit tile of the player, right? So then if we do this, I don't know which one this is, but let's just say we're just going to hot restart, which may or may not have been a good idea, because now we may have to hot reset the other. Yeah, we have to hot reset the other as well. A hot reload would have been probably fine. Okay, so now we can see the player hit tiles, right? So now if I shoot this guy, it's hitting right on the tile, but it's a little early, right? Well, it just looks weird when it's like right there, and it looks really weird. Okay, but that's fine. So all we need to make sure is that now the player is actually taking a health toll, like it should. So this guy can hit this guy. Let's just make sure that should work. All right. Yeah, and you can see, like, if we hit, that's basically what our hit, like, that's how we determine our hit. We're not actually going to go and try to see if it hits a circle, even though that's also fairly simple to do. But for now, we are just using this. This is much faster to calculate also. So, okay, so I think this is good enough. I'm actually surprised. This is one thing that we did and it worked right out of the box. So that's kind of cool. I want to see if we're actually updating the player health. So where would be a good way to do that? Whenever we sync from the server, maybe. So that would be in the client game, I think. Nope. It'd be in the game state. See, that's what I'm saying. I can never find that method where the sync. Where is it actually in? In the game model. Okay. So it's a client game state. I was almost right. What I want to do here is I want to kind of log. I'm just going to log the player. So there's going to be a lot of this. We're actually going to have to. And again, I want to improve that logger at some point because it's just logging. We can't categorize. We can say turn the logger on only for client game state or something. So I want to see where this log is coming from. Spawning bullet. So from the game controller. So game controller. We don't need that. That was basically to debug. If you remember, like we were losing bullets basically. That was last episode. We don't need that anymore. Okay, so now basically, if I do a hot restart instead of a hot reload instead of hot restart, so you can see now we get the end state, right? Now if this guy shoots the other guy to get the health, oh, okay, so we already negative, right? So the server already knows we were already dead because this is actually working. So the server is actually sending the health of the player, and then obviously if the player has a health of negative or 0, then the player is dead. So I'm actually very happy about this. This works really well, and actually we can already remove this log. So this works. Okay. So did we do any changes? We did that we don't want to check in, that we want to check in. Okay, so we didn't really do any real changes. So we're just going to check this game controller one in here. Let's do it this way. Yeah, I'm not doing a good job right now. Okay, but we can check this in. Removing log. Not a big deal. And the other thing we don't want to really check in, the game props here to show this is not, and actually they're not really necessary anymore. Lib shared game. Okay, so let's see what the other player's health is. The other player's health is minus 40 already, so they hit each other quite a bit. I would say this is actually a good place to stop. What we'll do in the next episode is this. We will have to find a way to render our own health here. We are not going to worry yet about having a death screen. We'll worry about showing the player's health here in the next episode. That sounds like a fun thing to do. We kind of may already be prepared for that. So let me See, we have some code here that basically has a stats update, and we basically need to hook in whenever the player health change, we need to have that. And so basically every time we sync from the server, we're going to pull out some stats. So actually what we can do though, in the meantime, we can already create that stats model. And that stats model will basically, and in a way, we can actually almost add that to client state. So that's a good thing we can still do before we sign off. So here I want to basically say, for our own player, right, I want to have a stats model. Well, I'm just going to call it stats, player stats, because it's not really a model per se, because we don't really, it's not really part of the game, so to speak. It's not going to be controlled by anything. And so basically what we need to do here is we sync the state, but we don't know who we are, right? But basically what will be here is there will be the health. And that's pretty much it for now. So that one was easy, and we'll just basically this is final. So let's create it, and we'll make it explicit. And that's why it actually makes sense to have it right here. We don't actually need a separate class for this. And that's it. Now let's be nice and generate a toString for this. Okay, it doesn't want to allow me this. And I can't remember this keyboard shortcut right now. We're just going to write ourselves. So yeah, I totally forgot that that shortcut. Let's do this. Extract, no. And you can see that I'm not using this a lot. So this is, yeah, okay, so this should be that command control dot. So let's see if that, okay. So you want to generate your string method. And again, to make it a little smaller, we do this. All right, and then basically what we need to do, we need to have this guy needs to know who we are. And yeah, we need to know who we are. And the ID is an int. And so we'll pass it in. And since there's only going to be one field, but yeah, this will be nice and do it this way. Okay, so now if we go through the player entries, then if the key is basically us, then we'll let's call it ID. Right, let's do that, and then let's use ID here, and then we can say if the ID is the same as the our client ID. Right, then we need to push new stats. And we're gonna say that for now we're gonna just say add stats. So actually we're gonna make this easier on us. We're gonna pass the player model. Right, and then we're gonna say final stats equals player stats, and the health is the player health. We could argue that maybe the server should manage this. It should send us our own stats, but it's not. It's actually easy to do this here as well. So why is this complaining? Oh, because we need, okay. And so then we basically need to have an observable that we're pushing out. So what we're going to have a stream controller and all these things, and we'll have an observable. So what we basically are going to have is a stream of player stats, right? And I'm gonna have a getter, and we call it player stats, and it's an observable, so I have this convention. And so basically that one will be, we'll put it no for now, and what it will really be is we're gonna have a stream controller player stats, which will be player stats. And actually we're going to move this up here, because that's where I like to have these fields I actually have above everything. And so we're going to give it this player stats dot stream dot broadcast stream, just in case we want to use this basically in multiple places. And then we will here we create, actually we're going to do it in the constructor to be more correct. We don't need to. There's a stream controller. If I could type, we could actually get something done. Okay, so okay, and then this is final. And then here what I have to do is just first of all see if these stats are different than the previous ones. Now how do I name the previous ones? We can't get them from here. There's no current. If we were using Rx, which we are trying to avoid because we're trying to use the least libraries possible, at least on the UI, or no libraries at all pretty much, I would know what that is. But I can have a thing that's kind of last stats or something, right? So we can have player stats last, or we can say current stats, right? And so basically if the and we have to implement the equals here, these two, include the health for now. All right, let's remove this. Not necessary. The reason why I remove them because my ID tells me that they're all right, so I don't need to have this in my code. It just clutters it a little bit more. So we have the equals overrider, and now we can say is if the current if stats current stats return, otherwise the current stats equals stats, and then we basically say that our player stats add the stats. Does that make sense? Yes. And then here all we have to do, if the client ID is the same as ours, we say add stats and we give it the player. All right, cool. So that's that kind of is a nice roundup here. So we did prepare for the next episode. We kind of got the boilerplate out of the way. And then basically what we'll do is here we'll you can see this was consumed from the game model. It will consume it from something else like the client state. I call them player stats. What do we call them? Yeah, let's call them stats, shorter. And also this, because there are no other kind of stats than the player stats, right? So this also should have, I have this convention to denote that this is a stream. I put a $sign in the end. So we call them player stats, but let's be consistent, let's call them stats. right? Okay. All right, cool. Cool. I'm pretty happy with that. That should work. So we'll check that in, and then we are prepared for next time. So this is basically me, pretty much only here. Okay. So okay, so now we can basically use this. Now let's tag our episode. Actually, this is, I lied. This is not episode 45. It's episode 46 actually, right? So git tag episode 46 end, push and the tags, and then next time will be easier because now we are prepared. We now can just basically use, we already did this before. We already had this. So I just basically need to add this back in. All the widgets, all the stuff are still there, I think. So there should still be some of these widgets somewhere. If they're not, then we can find them in previous commits, but I'm pretty sure there's a widget HUD. There you go. There's a health widget. It's already all there. We just need to hook it up, and then we can move on and have players die and so on. So this is starting to really shape up nicely and come together. So make sure to watch the next one, and thanks for watching.